All right, well, coming up, we're going to join back in with Cynthia Malik for today's Bon Appetit and roll together some Johnny cakes.
Hey, Tom, have you ever heard of Johnny cakes?
I've heard of them. I don't think I've ever had them before.
I have not either. Yeah, well, that's what we're going to be making here on the 9 o'clock show, and we're going to let you know exactly what those are coming up in just a moment. Cynthia from Pulaski Tech is here to show us how it's done.
Yeah,
and
continuing
how to make
a Soul Food Week right after the break. We'll teach you how to make them. Stay with us.
First, we want to talk about what we have going on in the newsroom this morning.
Yeah, one of our favorites, Pulaski Technical College culinary chef Cynthia Malik is here at today's THV. She's going to be sharing with us how to make a soul food dish. I believe it's Johnny cakes.
Johnny cakes, and she's in there working away, trying to get some of them done so we can have something to show you guys. So we'll join her in just a little bit.
And welcome back to Bon Appetit. We're joined once again by Cynthia Malik. And today, continuing on with the soul food theme, cooking up
Johnny cakes.
Johnny cakes.
Also known as hoe cakes or hot water cornbread.
Okay, now I have heard of hot water cornbread.
Okay.
I didn't know that it could have the same, it was also known as Johnny cake. Interesting.
This is all new to me, never heard of it either. So
I have to admit, you know, I've seen them and I've seen people cooking them in our American regional class at the school. I have made a skillet or like a cornbread in a skillet, but I used my mom's recipe, so it had egg and soda in it. This is pretty simple. It's just cornmeal, a pinch of salt, a pinch of sugar, and hot water, really.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay, so walk us through.
Okay.
Let's make some.
Let's turn our griddle up to about 350 or so.
Okay.
And we're gonna get that ready. Okay, so I have about 3/4 cup of cornmeal.
Okay.
And it's a yellow cornmeal. I'm just gonna put a little pinch of salt.
Literally a pinch. I was wondering how you're going to measure that.
And a pinch of sugar. Okay. If you find that you like them a little sweeter, you can always add a little bit more sugar.
Okay.
But you know, I try to keep it on the healthy side. That'll just kind of help out with the grains. Now I have some hot boiling water here, and so we're going to pour a little bit at a time and stir.
Okay.
And we want to try to get it as smooth as possible. What's happening here is the cornmeal is going to start soaking up this this water. Okay, so just like kind of like oatmeal, any other grain like that that's really finely ground, it'll kind of start cooking.
This is looking like a malto meal, something like cream of wheat.
It is cream of wheat. It reminds me of polenta, a soft polenta that's been fried.
Right.
Not familiar with polenta.
And it's basically the same thing except that we cook it longer, you know, on the grill.
Okay.
So we do let that sit for about 10 minutes.
All right.
Okay, so it'll really soak up all that moisture so that our little pancakes here will be kind of tender and the cornmeal will be cooked.
Okay, so is this what it looks like before, like after you let it sit for 10 minutes?
Yes, after you let it sit for 10 minutes.
All right, so this is an idea as to what it should kind of look like. I always got to ask you, for kids love this recipe.
You know, they had some
tried
last
it?
night, but I think we got the sugar and the salt mixed, and so it's really salty, so I made a new batch, but I also made them cornbread last night in my grandmother's little corn skillets.
They get
so they
all
love
of the good
that.
stuff. Okay, you know what, and I bet it would be, you know, to taste, to add a little bit of sugar. I imagine I'd end up adding.
And I served it with
extra.
black-eyed peas last night.
Okay,
So, but they're,
good
you know, they can be served with sorghum or maple syrup. Now you can use a 1/4 measuring cup. I just put a nice spoonful on there.
Because I guess you're wanting them to be fairly small. I don't see that these are giant.
Is that
Johnny
enough?
cakes.
I think if you go too big, it won't cook the cornmeal very well in the middle.
Okay.
Now I did see some recipes where you do this in a big skillet, but then they baked it in the oven.
Okay.
You know, and I also saw that like the Boy Scouts love to do this, you know,
I'm
camping
sure.
because it's so simple.
Right.
There's really no perishable foods until you add the water to the cornmeal.
Okay.
And then they do take a little while to cook. You want them nice and brown on the on both sides.
Notice that.
We started this one, if you want to kind of take a look there. And so, you know, if you need to flip them back over, I mean, they're like pancakes, except they don't rise. So some people may not like them.
Okay, so the difference is that they don't rise, and then also these aren't as sweet, right?
No, I mean, like I said, you can add a little bit more sugar to them. I did see a lot of recipes online that had milk in them, so it might make it a little creamier. So it really just kind of depends on what your preference is, but this is the basics. I mean, you talk about soul food,
Cornmeal,
you know.
salt, sugar, butter,
And water.
and water, and
Yeah.
that's it.
And then
Not
you
many
just
ingredients.
use syrup?
Okay, so I brought
Tell us
maple
about that.
syrup, but I hear that the old timers, as they call them, would have sorghum. And I don't know if y'all remember, we talked about sorghum.
We have talked about that before.
Arkansas, you know, I don't know how much they grow now, but apparently they used to grow a lot of sorghum.
Okay.
And it's like a grass, and then they extract syrup-like, liquid out of it.
Is it as sweet as a maple syrup?
There's no sugar in it, so it's sweet, but it's a different kind of sweet.
Okay.
So maple syrup is definitely sweeter, but if you're looking for no sugar, that's an excellent way to go. And of course, I did butter on these, and I think this one right here is done. If you want to add it to our
those are
plate.
not done. I made the mistake of trying to flip one, and I should just wait.
And they will brown nicely on the outside.
Is that when you know?
That's when you know that.
So am I good to flip that one? Or
No,
should I wait a little
I
bit?
would let it wait. They take at least 5 minutes to cook.
All right. And while we continue to flip these and get them ready to eat, we're going to go ahead and tell you about where to find today's recipe. It will be on our website, todaysthv.com. You can go there and get it and make your own soul food.
Yes, and we will leave you with those ingredients as we head to break. It's now 9:22. Stay with us. We'll be back.
And they are delicious. If you want to make these for yourself, you can head to our website, todaysthv.com. Click on news and then select THV this morning, 9 o'clock. That's where you're going to find these delicious Johnny cake recipes.
Cynthia, thank you so much. We appreciate
Thanks for
it.
being here.
Thanks for having me.
We want to give a big congratulations to Nikki Reagan, who won those tickets to the Home and Garden Show there in Little Rock. And we're going to leave you this morning with a live look of that. It is now 9:25. Thank you so much for joining us.